You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from February 16th, 2022, coming to us from Nashville, Tennessee. Overall thoughts on this show, I really enjoyed this show. It was a fun show to watch. Was it better than last week's awesome-ass show in Atlantic City? To be quite honest, no, but I'm not going to say the show is bad. Overall, I really enjoyed this show for what it was. Of course, we had the main event being Sammy Guevara defending the TNT Championship against Darby Allin, two of the four pillars in AEW, and definitely 100% the future main event scene of the company. But before we get on with the Dynamite review, we actually got extra news on why Cody Rhodes left AEW, and I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of, speculation going on still where Cody Rhodes is going to go, and it's most likely headed towards the WWE, and this story is insane. It's literally blowing up the entire wrestling world. The entire wrestling world is in shock still, to this day, about the Cody Rhodes scenario, because of the fact that Cody Rhodes was a major part in the founding of AEW, and now most likely the WWE is going to be getting one of AEW's executive vice presidents in their promotion. So before we get on, we're going to be talking about more details as to why Cody Rhodes left the WWE. But before I get on with all of this, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe, and also comment on this video and give us your thoughts on where you guys think Cody Rhodes is going to go and your thoughts on this week's Dynamite. So we got news on Cody Rhodes' departure and why Cody Rhodes left the WWE. So Sports Illustrated is reporting that multiple sources that have said that Brandi Rhodes is not expected to join her husband in the WWE. It was also stated that Cody could begin working for WWE as soon as this weekend, with possibly going to the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, to film segments this week upon his return. The reason Cody left WWE in 2016 was due to his frustration and, of course, the lack of direction. But Sports Illustrated is reporting that yet another key issue in the decision for Cody leaving AEW was that he lost all of his responsibilities related to booking. Cody was originally part of the booking team for AEW. However, Tony Khan has taken full creative and booking control. It was further stated that sources have confirmed that Cody is going back to WWE, but when he will begin to appear on WWE television is not clear, or even if a deal has been reached. So yeah, end quote. That was I'm reading this from WrestleView, but the original source was Sports Illustrated. So yeah, man, one of the reasons why Cody left AEW was because of his booking, and that is crazy to see. As we have known since last year, Tony Khan has taken full creative control over all of the executive vice presidents, so Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes as well. And there's a lot of scenarios in which Cody, Cody flat out stated that he did not want to turn heel. And, this causes a little rift, when it comes to Cody Rhodes, because of the fact that, I thought, if Cody, we all knew that Cody was a free agent in AEW, right? We all knew he was a free agent. We all expected him to re-sign with the company. But the issue with this here is, the fact that, Cody Rhodes, we all knew he was constantly getting that negative reaction from the crowd. He was getting Roman Reigns babyface type level negative reactions from the crowd. And the fact that, Cody Rhodes did not want to turn heel is flat out ridiculous. I thought that, they were all in on this, and, Cody Rhodes, knew that he had to turn heel. Tony Khan, I knew guaranteed, I feel like Tony Khan knew that the only way that Cody Rhodes can redeem himself from this negative reaction is to embrace the negative reaction and turn heel. But that wasn't the case. And one of the reasons is Cody Rhodes did not, one of the reasons why he left was because of the fact that, he doesn't have creative control anymore. And now it does create the scenario. What if he did still have creative control and he, was still in the company? I don't want to come up with speculation like that, but you never know, man. It could possibly be a scenario in which he would possibly just book himself in every single segment. I don't want to be that type of person to believe that, but again, I mean, look, if one of the reasons why you left AEW was for creative control, and then you're going to WWE where you think you will be getting creative control, I'm sorry, man, but look, WWE is the last place that you will be getting creative control. If you honestly believe that Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are going to be giving you creative control, I am so sorry, Cody Rhodes. You are absolutely mistaken. But who knows where he's going to end up? Most likely he's going to be ending up in WWE. This Sports Illustrated, or I'm reading this from a different website, but the original source, Sports Illustrated, did state that, he's possibly right now in the Performance Center filming vignettes. So if that is the case, holy shit, we got a lot of stuff to discuss, regarding Cody Rhodes. And, I'm not going to lie, I'm actually really interested and really excited to see what happens, especially as we're headed towards WrestleMania and what match Cody Rhodes is possibly going to be having at WrestleMania in Dallas, Texas in April. So yeah, man, I just believe that, this story there's a lot of stuff that we possibly do not know yet, but we do not know. Is Cody Rhodes going to be a success in the WWE? I do not know. I do not trust the creative team, but again, I just feel like I just believe that, WWE is just the last place that, you would expect someone like Cody Rhodes to be successful, especially after, he's been taking a lot of shots. I mean, my God, like Cody Rhodes, remember that promo that he cut the week before the ladder match? I mean, he took a shot at Gunther for God's sakes. I mean, like, now you're going to come back to the WWE. I don't know about you, man, but like, again, this story is much bigger than it seems. I mean, this story is already big. This story has overtaken Steve Austin. Steve Austin was the talk of the century when, it was rumored and most likely going to happen that Steve Austin was going to come out of retirement to face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. But now Cody Rhodes has overtaken all of that. So, I mean, who knows what the hell is going to happen, but I mean, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I still, a small part of me believes that this could possibly be a work, and a lot of people get so angry now on social media about that, but you don't know. You never know. Most likely this is real. Like, right now, like on my previous episode of New Shock, I stated that, half of me thinks this is the work, half of me thinks this is real, but now, like probably like, 80% of me or 90% of me thinks this is definitely real. And now, 100%, maybe like 10%, this is possibly a work, but I'm still holding on that this is possibly a work. But if it's not a work, I will admit I am wrong. Okay. But yeah, man, that's more news on the Cody Rhodes situation. But let's head towards Dynamite, because I actually have to film this really quick. Dynamite was from Nashville, Tennessee. And overall, again, I really enjoyed this show for what it was. Was it better than last week's show? No, it wasn't. And also, this show actually did a low rating, which I'm really disappointed of. I mean, last week's show was really good that they did a 1.1, and they dropped to like 840-something thousand viewers this week, which is not good whatsoever. But it is what it is. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode of Dynamite for what it was. Yeah, the show kicks off with CM Punk sitting down in the center of the ring. CM Punk kicks off Dynamite in the center of the ring, and he cuts a promo. If we don't know, we should know. His name is CM Punk. He is straight edge. He is drug-free, alcohol-free, and that means he is better than him. Does that sound familiar? He spoke those words over 20 years ago and became the foundation of his career. He sat to hear and feel the pride as he can inspire the next generation of pro wrestlers. Some wrestlers became wrestlers because of him. Then there's MJF. He tries to walk and talk like him. He can never think like him. When he beat him in his hometown twice, you would think that he would be furious. But honestly, he is proud of him. He failed to retain the knowledge of the lesson that he was being taught. He's just a shitty little Max from a shitty little place known as Long Island. But because last week, thanks to Moxley, he gets to pick the time and place and the date for his match, or his rematch with MJF. That place is Orlando, Florida, March 6th. It's a little pay-per-view called Revolution. He was thinking about the match. Maybe you can put him in a cage. We've seen Wardlow in a cage. Max can still run in and climb out of the cage. Piper in Portland. Punk states that he won more cage matches, that being himself. Losing a tough match when you learn we need Max to learn matches. He thinks Piper in Portland. He also asks Max if he will be his Valentine, and then what happens? He takes out a dog collar. And what happens? Punk challenges MJF into a dog collar match at Revolution. So overall, actually, let me continue on with this. And he calls out MJF. He says he wants to say something directly to his face, and then MJF comes out. Punk then wants him to take it all in. Punk then takes out the picture of MJF, little MJF, with CM Punk getting CM Punk's autograph, which that photo has been floating all around social media. I will say that. But, I mean, he took out that photo, and I loved how he acknowledged that. But, I mean, he's acknowledged it before in many different Punk and MJF segments, but still, I love how he took out the photo. But then he says MJF will pay the price on March 6th, and the canvas is not going to be stained in his spray tan, but rather his blood. And then MJF just leaves. He was about to say a word, but then just retreats. So, yeah, man, we got a dog collar match between CM Punk and MJF. The only dog collar match that we have seen in AEW was the dog collar match that we have seen 2 years ago with Brody Lee, Mr. Brody Lee, and Cody Rhodes. Remember when Cody Rhodes dyed all his hair? The late, great Brody Lee wrestled in the only dog collar match, and it was for the TNT Championship, which was a really good match. I actually did not watch that match live. I had because I was doing something that night, but I watched it like the next day, and I will say, man, that match was really awesome. But yeah, man, we got a dog collar match at Revolution. I'm really excited to see what happens. Who should win? Honestly, I do not know. I mean, I possibly see them doing the 50-50 booking route in which CM Punk will win, but you never know what can happen. But, man, I mean, I'm really excited to see what goes down. I mean, we got a dog collar match at Revolution between MJF and CM Punk. And honestly, man, 100%, if anything, I mean, from what we have seen with the first dog collar match with Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee, 100%, I mean, this match is going to be insane when we come to Revolution. And honestly, I mean, Revolution is looking to be a stacked card. I mean, we got most likely Adam Cole versus Hangman Adam Page, most likely getting Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. I mean, like, bro, this show, Revolution, is possibly going to be by far one of the best pay-per-views of 2022, man. It's definitely shaping up to be that. But again, we got a dog collar match between CM Punk and MJF, and I'm 110% excited for that match. We get a backstage interview with Jurassic Express and Christian Cage backstage. They talk about the two battle royals that are going to be taking place. Of course, we got one battle royal next week, a tag team battle royal next week on Dynamite. And then in 2 weeks, we got another tag team battle royal on Dynamite. And then the winners of both of those battle royals will challenge Jurassic Express for the AEW World Tag Team Championships at Revolution March 6th. Overall, I mean, I like the way that they're doing that. I mean, I do not know who's going to be in these tag team championship matches, but we'll have to wait and see. But of course, they just cut a normal promo on Jurassic Express, or I should say Christian Cage says that Jurassic Express will retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. We got one match that I really enjoyed, and definitely it's involving one future star in AEW, that being Lee Moriarty taking on Bryan Danielson. Of course, they announced this match last Friday on Rampage, which I actually missed. I did not watch Rampage last week, and I still have to watch. I missed SmackDown, Rampage, and this past Monday's Raw, so I got a lot to catch up on. And we got SmackDown, which is a taped show, I believe, already. So really, I can just easily look at the spoilers. But yeah, man, we got Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty. I will say, man, this match was really good from the get-go. I really enjoyed what happened in this match. I mean, again, Lee Moriarty is really good at what he does. I was introduced to Lee Moriarty, I believe it was at one of the GCW shows last year, because I started watching a little bit of GCW last year. Of course, my first show was Homecoming Part 1, where Cardona won the title. I think he wrestled on that show. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just do not remember who. But Lee Moriarty is amazing at what he does, man. The beginning of the match starts. Danielson offers a handshake, but then retreats. Of course, that being heel Bryan Danielson. Then we get a lot of technical wrestling in the beginning of the match. Bryan then slaps the hand. Not the hand. He slaps the shit out of Lee Moriarty. Lee targets the knee of Bryan, but then Bryan reverses and targets the knee of Lee. Danielson then goes for the Romero special and then transitions it into a Dragon Sleeper, which looked really nice. Danielson, of course, is known for his technical wrestling ability. So, of course, there's no surprise that we see a lot of this in the beginning stages of the match. Lee counters out. Danielson then again with a slap to the face. Then he sweeps Danielson and goes for the elbow. We get an uppercut in the corner by Lee Moriarty. Then we get both proceed to exchange shots, and then Danielson escapes when he is sent to the corner. Lee goes for an uppercut. Lee is on the apron, but then Bryan goes for the yes kicks when Lee is on the apron. Danielson then goes for a knee strike on Lee. Then we go to commercial break. Bryan is in control during the break. Once we're back from break, then we get a cover by Danielson, and then we get a near fall, and then we get a cover again and a near fall. Cover again by Danielson. So Danielson at this point is getting desperate, and we get another near fall. Danielson then goes for the double knees. We get a cover again, but Lee bridges up. Then Lee reverses. Both exchange shots from upside down. Then both exchange repeated shots. We get a label lock by Danielson. Then Lee goes to the bottom rope, but then we get a belly-to-back suplex by Lee Moriarty. Danielson then goes for his uppercuts after that. Lee then applies a backslide pin attempt. We get a near fall. Danielson then reverses it and hits a slap to the face of Lee again. Bro, I swear, when I tell you those slaps by Danielson were stiff, they were stiff. I'm telling you that right now. Lee with a couple of right hands. We get a rolling elbow by Danielson, but then Lee tries to go for a clothesline, but then Danielson catches him. Lee catches Danielson and plants him to the mat. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of forearms to the back of Danielson. We get a Border City stretch by Lee Moriarty. We get a roll up by Danielson, and then we get a near fall. Then we get a shoulder capture suplex by Danielson after that. Lee Moriarty then goes for the Border City stretch. We get a roll up by Danielson. Oh, I'm literally repeating myself again, man. Literally, bro. I'm repeating myself again. My apologies. We get a running knee by Danielson. I'm rushing because I literally have to go to class at 2:30. So if I'm rushing, my apologies, everybody. I want to be straight up and honest with you guys watching me on YouTube right now. We get a running knee by Danielson, and then Danielson goes for his signature stomps to the face of Lee Moriarty. Danielson then transitions into a triangle sleeper submission after that. Lee Moriarty then fades, and then Bryan Danielson wins the match. Overall thoughts on this match, man. This was a really good match. Again, Lee Moriarty is amazing at what he does. He, like, literally, Lee Moriarty is one of the best technical wrestlers today. Not only that, man, he's in general, he's one of the best young in-ring wrestlers in the world right now, in my opinion. And the fact that he was wrestling Danielson was awesome. I love the fact that he was wrestling Danielson in this match. And not only that, man, Danielson looked great. Lee looked great. Bro, it goes to show you that, again, AEW cares for the future, man. AEW does care for the future. And one of those guys of the future, that being Lee Moriarty, he's going to be a top guy in the next couple of years down the road. I guarantee you that. But Danielson gets the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, he came out here to teach Lee Moriarty a lesson about violence. Did he pass or did he fail? That's the quote by Bryan Danielson. That's why he doesn't trust the American public with anything. That said, he's not the reason why he grabbed the mic. He asked Jon Moxley to team up with him, and he wants an answer from Jon Moxley right now. Jon Moxley comes out. Moxley grabs the mic. Little over a decade ago, he was not like Lee Moriarty. He was a lot like Lee Moriarty. He was a young, angry, poor kid with nothing to lose. He took a shot to take down Danielson. They were at an indie show. He basically tells a backstory on him and Danielson from years ago. Talks about how they were at an indie show. He gave him everything he had, but he came short, and he got a taste of the best. Over the years, he had more shots against Bryan Danielson, but eventually he never beat Bryan Danielson. He was excited when he came to AEW because of the fact that he will finally slay him. Danielson doesn't want to fight him. He just wants, Danielson doesn't want to fight him, but he wants them to join forces. He listened to everything he said, and he got thinking about how awesome it could be. All of the aims they can snap, all of the legs they can snap, and all that stuff. They can create a dream team. Then he talks about what they can create. They can give something back to the business. He's not going to lie. He couldn't think of one good reason to say no. And then we get a couple of yes chants from the crowd. So it looks like the crowd actually wanted them to team up, but we all know they're not going to team up, man. But then he got to wondering, Danielson wants to team up with Jon Moxley because he doesn't want to stand across the ring from Jon Moxley. If that's the case, he already beat Bryan Danielson in his head. He's not saying yes, but he is not saying no. He leaves it up to him, and he tells Danielson he doesn't need to stand side by side with them till he bleeds with them first. Holy shit. So this line, that last line by Jon Moxley definitely looks like 100% that they're definitely going to be wrestling at Revolution. 100%. It's not officially announced yet, but that's most likely where that's going. It's going to be Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley at Revolution. And if that is the case, man, take my money. Take my money, bro, because I'm 100% excited to see what happens in this match. Definitely, because of the fact that, I think they wrestled in WWE, correct me if I'm wrong. I got to go back and watch, but, we haven't seen that match in AEW yet, and it'd be awesome to see what happens in that match. And, again, Revolution is looking to be a stacked card. We got Adam Cole versus Hangman Page, most likely for the world title. We got possibly a triple threat match for the TNT Championship with Andrade, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And then we got possibly this match with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. So, again, man, I'm excited to see what happens. We got Wardlow and Max Caster in a qualifying match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Overall, this was not, it was not a short match, but it wasn't a long match either. It was kind of like 50-50, but of course, Wardlow went over. It was the most logical choice. Wardlow almost catches Caster from the powerbomb position, but we get a boot by Caster when Bowens grabs the boot of Wardlow. Max Caster at this point is in control. Wardlow is in control during the break, but during the break, Caster regains control. Then he drops Wardlow to the ring apron, but we're back. Once we're back from commercial break, Wardlow then tries to hit a powerbomb, but then Caster hits him with a chain with the ref being distracted. Caster then goes to the top. He hits the mic drop, but then we get a cover and a near fall after that. He proceeds to take out Caster. Then we get a powerbomb by Wardlow. He's going for the powerbomb symphony. Then he goes for the second powerbomb, then the third. We get a cover, and Wardlow wins and advances to the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So we have Keith Lee and Wardlow now in the ladder match. Bro, this ladder match is going to be causing mayhem. Bro, do I think Keith Lee's possibly going to win that match? No, I don't think so. I see a guy like Wardlow winning because of the fact that he is in a storyline with MJF, teasing a dissension, or I shouldn't say dissension because the Pinnacle is going to remain a faction when Wardlow leaves, but I'm saying, Wardlow is definitely going to be splitting from the Pinnacle and going on his own. So I think this is going to be a factor, and definitely Wardlow will be winning that ladder match once he eventually wins it. But yeah, man, Wardlow advances, but then after that, Anthony Bowens tries to attack Wardlow, but then Wardlow powerbombs Bowens. But then Spears comes in and hits Bowens with the chair to basically steal the thunder from Wardlow after that. So that sucks. All right. Tony Schiavone interviews Mercades Martinez. Britt Baker says that she will finish the job. And then Britt Baker says, she has the best sensei. And then who is it? Martin Cove from Cobra Kai comes in. And then Britt asks what if Mercedes doesn't get the job done? And then Martin says, you know what to do. So then Tony Schiavone interviews the AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page. Tony asks him about the Texas death match last week, but right as soon as Hangman Adam Page is about to speak, Adam Cole then comes out. He asks Nashville to give a strong standing ovation for Hangman Adam Page. Adam Cole says that match was crazy last week, and he basically puts over Hangman Adam Page. But Cole asks Tony to get the hell out of his ring, which is actually like one of his funniest lines, because we all know like Tony Schiavone and Britt Baker, Adam Cole is kind of like, in storyline, I should say, not in real life, but in storyline, he's like, get the fuck out of my ring. But Cole says that he has been a world champion everywhere that he has gone. He says that championship reign of Hangman is going to end pretty soon. Hangman says that he left and watched his friends build a wrestling empire without him. That's what Hangman stated. Hangman then proceeds to bring up Bullet Club. Cole calls Hangman out on the Dark Order and asks Hangman what kind of a friend he is, because of the fact that, the Dark Order is not, everywhere where you guys are, where you are. And he doesn't know if Cole has, then Hangman says that he doesn't know if Cole has the best record with friendship. And then Cole puts over Hangman, and now Cole is here in AEW. And now that he is here, anytime that they're in the same company, Hangman was known as the other Adam. Hangman then proceeds to get pissed off, and he's basically threatening Adam Cole with a couple of fists. And then Cole then states that someday they will fight for the AEW World Title, and says that may the best man wins. Then what happens? Cole leaves. What happens as soon as Cole is walking up the ramp? What happens? ReDragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish come in out of nowhere and attack. They attack Hangman Page. Then Cole comes in, and then it's a 3-on-1 assault, as the commentators would state. Then security comes in, but then the Dark Order comes in out of nowhere. But then ReDragon and Adam Cole, the Paragon, that's what they're called now. They haven't stated that in AEW television, I assume, but that's the assumed name for the Undisputed Era in AEW. They're going to be called the Paragon. Then the Dark Order comes in, and then number 10 takes out security for no reason. He literally takes out security for no reason, which I never understood why. It made absolutely no sense for him to do that. But yeah, man, we're possibly going to be getting Adam Cole versus, most likely, this is definitely happening, Adam Cole versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Title at Revolution. I'm excited, 100%. I mean, it makes the perfect sense for this match to happen. Is Adam Cole going to win the World Title? No, I think Hangman Page's title run would end way too early because he did win back in November against Omega at Full Gear in a really good match, I should say. But it would make no sense for Adam Cole to win it. He's definitely winning the World Title, but just not now. I think, I think their plans right now for MJF to take that world title, and I eventually see that happening at Double or Nothing. 100%. I'm making a prediction right now. Hangman's title run will end at Double or Nothing. I predict. I stated this before that a riot will happen. A riot will happen when MJF wins the world title. But Adam Cole, he will eventually win the world title down the road once a babyface gets a hold. Of course, MJF is definitely 100% winning the world title, and I see a guy like Darby Allin taking the belt from MJF, and the guy to take the belt from Darby Allin, if he eventually gets the belt, is Adam Cole. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what this match brings to the table. 100%, this match is going to be insane, man. I'm 100% excited for Adam Cole versus Hangman Adam Page. All right. We got Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Santana and Ortiz in a really good match. One of the best matches of the night, in my opinion. Real quick, I'm going to go to the match. Both teams face off. Eddie Kingston then comes out. Eddie Kingston comes out, and he got a huge pop from the crowd. He got a really huge pop from the crowd. Santana and Jericho start. Both go at it. We get a couple of chops by Jericho. We got a clothesline by Santana. We get a flying forearm by Santana in the corner. We get an Irish whip in the corner by Santana. Then Santana runs into a boot, but then Santana hits a chop in the corner. We get a shotgun dropkick to the back of Jericho. We get a cover and a 1 count. Then Ortiz tags in. We get a double team attempt by Proud and Powerful after that. Ortiz then goes for a DDT, but then Santana goes for a moonsault. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Ortiz hits a snap suplex on Chris Jericho after that. We get a cover and another near fall. Then Jericho plants Ortiz face first to the mat. We get a cover and a 1 count. Then Hager tags in. Then we get a double shoulder tackle by both Jericho and Hager. Both Hager and Ortiz go at it. At this point, there is a lot of emotion in the match with Hager and Ortiz. Then we get a belly to belly by Jake Hager. Then we get a Hager bomb on Ortiz, but we get a cover and a near fall. Once we're back from commercial break, Jericho then tries to suplex Ortiz. Then he eventually suplexes Ortiz, but then we get a clothesline by Ortiz. At that point, the hot tag is made. Then we get a boot by Jericho a boot on Jericho by Santana. Santana then works on Hager. We get an overhand chop to the back of Jake Hager. Then Jericho hits the code breaker on Santana. Then we get a slam by Hager on Santana. We get a cover and a near fall. Jericho tags in. Both Jericho and Hager work on Santana in the corner. Santana then sends Hager over the top rope onto the outside. We get a kick by Santana on Jericho. We get a running bulldog by Jericho on Santana. Then Jericho then tries to go for the lion salt, but then Ortiz catches him and Santana hits the Russian leg sweep from when Jericho tries to go for the lion salt. So literally what happened was Ortiz just caught Jericho right as soon as he was doing the springboard moonsault. And then Santana came in, and what happened? He hit the Russian leg sweep from there. That was an awesome ass spot. Then Ortiz hits the cannonball on Hager. We get a street sweeper on Jericho by Proud and Powerful. We get a cover and a near fall. Santana then goes for the cannonball, but then Jericho catches him into the Lion Tamer, a.k.a. the Walls of Jericho. Then Santana grabs the bottom rope, but then Jericho goes for the springboard dropkick on Kingston. Then Jericho misses the Judas effect. We get a discus lariat by Santana on Jericho. We get a cover, and Santana and Ortiz beat Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, and arguably one of the best matches of the night, in my opinion. This was a really good match, in my opinion. I 100% enjoyed it. Definitely, 100% this is happening. Santana and Ortiz are splitting away from Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle. 100% it's happening. And I definitely do see guys like, Sammy Guevara, leaving the faction as well, because really, what is Sammy Guevara doing in the Inner Circle? I mean, the guy is already TNT champion. He's basically having a pretty good run for himself. So really, what is the point of Sammy Guevara staying in the Inner Circle? 100%. The Inner Circle is going to go their separate ways, definitely. And it's going to happen in the next couple of years. And couple of weeks, I should say. But yeah, man, this was a really good match. And there's a lot of tension still with the Inner Circle. And 100%, man, Eddie Kingston is going to form a faction with Santana and Ortiz. I definitely do see that being the case. Adam Cole and the Young Bucks backstage. The Bucks are over Hangman. They told Adam Cole and the Paragon, or ReDragon, I should say, that they're all over Hangman. They're just done with him. But then Cole says that he will whoop Ten's ass, and then he talks about the 2 tag team battle royals, and then the ReDragon and the Young Bucks argue that who will win, who will get the tag titles and all that stuff. So, yeah, man. Then we get Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez in a no DQ match. Overall, this is a really good match. Definitely, at the end of the match, of course, Mercedes Martinez ended up being the babyface here. Thunder Rosa is still the babyface, but, she turned babyface, that being Mercedes Martinez. Overall, though, I really enjoyed the match. Thunder Rosa comes in with the chair. He hits it on Mercedes and then takes Mercedes to the ring. The bell rings. Then we get a couple of chops by Thunder Rosa. Then she takes Mercedes to the ring post on the outside. Rosa then grabs the chair. Mercedes then sends Rosa to the steel steps. Then Mercedes takes out a couple of chairs. Rosa then sends Mercedes through the guardrail. Both are fighting it out onto the crowd. Rosa then goes to the top of the crowd. Then we get a diving crossbody on the crowd by Thunder Rosa. Once we're back from break, a table is set up on the outside. Mercedes then hits a fisherman buster on the table, with the table semi-breaking. It didn't really break fully because the table was half opened and it was laying down on the apron. But yeah, man, it semi-broke, so it really wasn't that crazy of an impact, to be quite honest with you. But Mercedes hits a chair on Thunder Rosa. Rosa's on the top. Mercedes then also goes to the top. Rosa then goes for the Hurricane Rana, throws the trash can on Mercedes Martinez. She puts the trash on the head of Mercedes Martinez. We get a dropkick to the head of Mercedes with the dropkick. Then we get a cover into near fall when Mercedes gets her hand onto the bottom rope. Rosa then goes to the top. Mercedes hits the trash can on Rosa. We get a German suplex by Mercedes on Thunder Rosa off the top. Then after that, Mercedes goes to the top. We get an elbow drop by Mercedes. We get a cover by Mercedes and a near fall. Mercedes then sets up a pile of chairs. She tries to powerbomb Rosa, but then Rosa counters into the crucifix bomb. Then hits the Fire Thunder driver on Mercedes onto the chairs. We get a cover, and Thunder Rosa wins the match. Then after that, Rosa helps Mercedes get up, but then Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter and Rebel come out. Jamie Hayter and Rebel attack Thunder Rosa. She gives Mercedes the lead pipe to hit it on Thunder Rosa, but what happens? Hayter attacks Mercedes Martinez, which basically confirms that Mercedes Martinez is now a babyface, and we'll probably see. I don't want to say tag team because there's no women's tag team titles in AEW, but a nice little duo with Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa in the near future. So that is great to see. I think that's a perfect duo, in my opinion, with Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez. I do assume that there will probably be a tag team match down the road, but we'll have to wait and see. 100% Thunder Rosa is going to have a world title match with Britt Baker at Revolution. Again, Revolution is looking to be a stacked card. We get a House of Black video package, basically teasing a third member. A lot of people are saying it's Buddy Murphy or Buddy Matthews. If that is the case, awesome. Honestly though, I will say this, as much as I want to be invested with the House of Black, to be quite honest with you, I mean, and this is a problem with AEW signing a lot of guys. I mean, not everybody can get TV time. I understand that Tony Khan tries to give TV time to everybody, but to be quite honest with you, not everybody can get TV time. When it comes to Andrade's case, before this whole feud with the TNT Championship before he was, teasing a future match with Darby Allin, what was Andrade doing? He wasn't on television. And that is the problem with AEW signing a bunch of guys. Not everybody can be on television, but this was a little video package. But at the same time, I will say this, with them signing a lot of guys, yes, I did say, not everybody can be on television, but at the same time, that can be a good thing because of the fact that it does not cause overexposure, because WWE loves that overexposure on television. And yes, I'm making the comparisons because it makes absolutely perfect sense. But yeah, man, they're teasing a third member, and it's probably Buddy Matthews. And if that is the case, man, awesome, because Buddy Murphy, he's a really good wrestler, man. The guy is fantastic at what he does. And the fact that, he never really got his due in the WWE and they put him in a stupid angle, with him, being with Rey Mysterio's daughter, I mean, that was really dumb. But yeah, man, if that is the case, man, that is great to see, man. Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship in the main event. Overall thoughts on this match? I really enjoyed what this match was. I mean, of course, they wrestled 2 years ago at Revolution in Chicago. Overall, man, again, Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin are the two future top stars in the main event scene in All Elite Wrestling. And 100% Darby Allin is next in line for not next in line now, but later down the road this year, I definitely do see him winning the world title later on this year. To who? Possibly, if MJF does win the world title, it's going to be against MJF. It makes the perfect sense. But again, Darby Allin is going to be a top star of the company. Same thing with Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara 100%. But the match starts, both shake hands, both lock it up. At this point, the crowd is on fire for this match. Yes, the crowd in Nashville is absolutely on fire. We get a side headlock by Darby. We get a side headlock takeover by Darby again. Then we get a reverse hammerlock. We get a crucifix pin attempt by Darby, but we get a 1 count. We get a side headlock by Darby, and then we get a drop kick. Then Darby goes to the top, but then Sammy goes for a kick. Sammy then goes to the top, but then Sammy picks up Darby and throws him to the top turnbuckle, taking him to the outside. We get a cover by Sammy and a near fall. He takes Darby to the top of the top rope, but then Sammy goes for a senton on Darby on the top rope, which takes Darby outside to the ring. At this point, we go to commercial break, but once we're back from break, Darby counters and sends Sammy headfirst onto the turnbuckle. We get a coffin splash by Darby in the corner. Then we get a coffin splash on the knee of Sammy. Then Darby goes for a shot to the back on Sammy. Darby then targets the knee of Sammy when he is upside down in the corner. Darby goes to the top. Darby then goes for a single leg crab, but then Sammy gets up and hits a Spanish fly on Darby Allin. It looked like Sammy injured his knee because he was selling his knee at this point, but we get a cover by Sammy and a near fall. Sammy then goes for a springboard, but then Darby counters into the figure four, but then Sammy reverses the figure four, but then Darby reverses back. Then both slap each other. Then Sammy lands on the knee into the corner. Then Sammy tries to go for the GTH, but then Darby counters. We get a roll up by Darby and a near fall. Then we get a stunner by Darby. Sammy goes to the outside, but then Darby tries to go for the suicide dive, but then gets caught on the outside. At this point, Sammy's on the top. Darby escapes, and Sammy lands the senton onto the apron. Then he takes Darby into the ring. Darby goes to the top. Then Jose comes out, but then Sting out of nowhere attacks Jose. Then Andrade comes in and attacks Darby with the iPad without the referee looking. But then Sammy picks up Darby. Sammy hits the GTH. We get a cover by Sammy Guevara, and Sammy Guevara retains the TNT Championship. But then Matt Hardy runs in out of nowhere and attacks Darby Allin. But then Sammy makes the save, but then Andrade hits the iPad on Sammy. Andrade leaves holding both TNT Championships and then takes it, and then the show ends, which is possibly going to be teasing a match, definitely a TNT Championship match with, originally I thought, and I tweeted this out right after this happened, definitely a match with Darby and Andrade is going to happen, but I forgot to realize that he took those the two TNT Championships after that. So definitely 100% we're going to be seeing, a triple threat match with Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Andrade at Revolution for the TNT Championship, which is a match I definitely want to see. Man, the Revolution card is just flat out awesome, man. Adam Cole versus Hangman Page, possibly Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, possibly what else? I mean, we got this triple threat match for the TNT Championship, Moxley versus Danielson. I mean, like, bro, what? How much better can you get? And we got a triple threat tag team match for the World Tag Team titles. You never know. We could possibly be seeing, ReDragon versus the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express, which, bro, there's going to be mayhem in that match. But overall thoughts, man. Overall, I enjoyed this show for what it was. It was not, was it an amazing show? No, it wasn't. But it wasn't bad at all. I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this show. Not only that, was it better than last week's Amazing Dynamite? No, I mean, last week's Dynamite was damn near perfect, in my opinion. But overall, I mean, I thought this show wasn't bad at all. AEW is kind of running itself into the corner with signing a bunch of guys, and they have to, like, at this point, pick and choose who they have to sign next, because, I mean, they're signing a lot of guys, which is not bad, but at the same time, it causes a rift in your product because of the fact that you're trying to get all these guys on television, and you only have 3 hours of television a week. So I definitely understand that argument right there. But overall, I mean, like, AEW I still think is on a roll. I mean, like, if you think AEW is in the mud after Cody left, yes, it is a big deal. Cody Rhodes leaving AEW to go to the WWE. But, I mean, you got to look at AEW's stacked roster right now. They got a stacked roster. I mean, we possibly could be seeing Jeff Hardy on his way to AEW as well. We got CM Punk, Danielson. We still got a lot of guys on AEW television right now that are like top priority right now. But, with Cody Rhodes leaving, that is still a big story, and 100% I'm really excited and curious. I'm curious, but at the same time excited to see what happens once he possibly, most likely, eventually makes his jump to the WWE. So that was my Dynamite review from February 16th, 2022. Again, overall, this was not a bad show whatsoever, but it was not, if you compare it to last week's show, definitely I choose last week's show over this show. But overall, this was not a bad show whatsoever. But yeah, that was my Dynamite review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for all of my future videos. We got the Elimination Chamber tomorrow, so be on the lookout for a review as well for that. We got SmackDown and Rampage tonight. Both shows are taped because SmackDown last week was taped. But yeah, man, that was my Dynamite review, and this is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast. Signing out.